Hello, Emily from Just Ask M here with Nick of Nick Mogavero LLC Marketing Company. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good. Decompressing. We need this first sip. Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree.
Coffee tastes okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we already said this is Nick Mogavero. He does newly have his marketing company, Mogavero Networking LLC. Where are you from?
I am from Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
Born and raised.
Good.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
A little bit in North Buffalo, but mainly in Amherst.
North Buffalo's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up in the West Side.
That's,
I was sheltered though, so I was like in the West Side behind the gate, but it's okay. That's good.
Fair enough.
So what do you do by day outside of the marketing company?
So during the day, I am sales for for contractors. So basically, they come in and get their supplies for siding,
Nice.
roofing, windows, doors, cabinets.
Okay.
So we
And you said you
them.
recently started that, right?
Yep. Yeah, this is my second week.
Very nice.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Good. Love it.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, what was it that made you transition to another job?
The hours are great.
Okay.
And it's more hands-on. So
I'm the same way.
I'm not the type of person that could sit behind a desk for 8
Yeah.
hours. I like being engaged and doing stuff.
You
So,
got to be
yeah.
interested in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So as a kid, what were some of your like dreams or aspirations? I feel like kids always, we always have these things that we want to do as we grow up, but, fulfilling them.
There was always, wanting to be a policeman or a fireman. But, but as I got a little bit older, I always wanted to be my own boss, have my own business. It started out as wanting a restaurant or like a restaurant bar. And it just never...
Yeah, you kind of have to
light.
figure out what your niche is.
And then I got into photography and videoing, and I decided to start a digital marketing company / consultant company. So just made it a simple name, my last name with just Mogavero Marketing LLC. And
when did you start it?
back in October, so what?
Of this year?
2024, yeah.
Okay.
So started it then, got a couple clients, and just realized I enjoy working for myself, but still got to pay the bills, right?
Right.
So perks of being an entrepreneur, right? You got to do both.
You have to. I think there's an excitement in it too, though. So as like I said, I remember talking to you a while back that you said, you are starting out your marketing company, but I think one of the most challenging things as an entrepreneur is, like you said, balancing it all. And you have a son, right?
Yep, I got a family, so it's
you add that to the mix,
right? And you gotta make
Make it
you gotta make all the moving parts work.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have enough time in a day, and you just if you got to pull that till 3-4 o'clock in the morning and still wake up and do your regular day job, sometimes you got to do it. Fortunately for video editing and photography, it's a little bit more fun to sit. So you can bring your computer up to bed and relax and get some projects done. And
because it doesn't feel like work for you, which is so important.
And that's the other thing is, when you start enjoying what you do, even my day job, I enjoy it. Even though I'm only in my second week, I enjoy it. I love going to work. I've never had that feeling at a job. And then I've worked for, somebody that actually wants me to continue having a little side business and growing it. So he thinks what I'm doing is great.
And I think that's very important to keep you motivated.
So you have somebody that's a business owner themselves that says, hey, you have a great idea. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
And, in due time, these contractors may, once they get to know you, may want to utilize you in showing their work and helping them either grow or just creating a web page and showing their work. Yeah. So, I
think that's the beauty.
It helps open doors. It's networking, but also having the right support systems in place too. It's great.
I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship is like you said, you got this day job. It's amazing that he's supporting what you're doing. That in itself is so much less stress because you don't feel like you got to hide it or if it's interfering with work hours. So that's great. And I'm all about multi-purpose. You know what I mean? In the sense of, you work at a company, they supply things, you have multiple different people coming in. That in itself can be a marketing opportunity, whereas even when you stay in the job, I would say, hey, is it okay if I have some of my business cards right there? Because there's really no conflict of interest.
Nope.
So that in itself, like you said, that networking, it's almost within everything is really the best place to be. And I think that's the enjoyment you should feel in what you're doing. Like you said, videography, photography, the editing. The beauty of it is like when it doesn't feel like work, you have a passion about it. So it doesn't matter if it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. That's how you know you're enjoying what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. And, and with marketing too, there's the consulting part. So it's also being able to sit down with a business owner or owners and say, have you thought about this? Do you have a monthly plan? Every month could be doing something.
Right.
Not
necessarily. Yeah.
Or you don't have to, but it's.
The variety of, even if you have a short-term project, I could still work with you. And if you have a long-term one, you can still,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's important in business because a lot of the time people think like, even with event planning, I only have a small event. Okay, so what's wrong with that? That's even better because then I can do it better and not be stressed and tired and you don't have to spend that much money. Whereas, like you said, if it's a short-term, small project, you get it done because you never know where that's going to lead to.
Yeah, absolutely. Opens doors. I'm trying not to.
You're fine.
Opens doors, and and that's basically.
That's how you make it grow. So now, like, what was it that made you want to turn like the marketing company into a reality, or take that step to be like, okay, I want to do this?
If I didn't, I would have never taken it seriously. So it was. I have this idea. It was actually like I woke up one morning and it was like the light bulb was on and I was like, I'm like, I should do this. I actually went and, was getting my hair cut and I was talking to my buddy who's my barber. I ran the idea by him and he's like, that's not a bad idea. And, he supports me. He lets me come into his barber shop. I bring my camera when I go, and I hang out for a little bit, and I'll shoot videos for him
business.
And pictures. And I just I do that,
and he didn't always have his own barber shop, right?
No. So actually, it was a little bit after we had talked, he decided to open up his own barber shop, and again, like we support each other through our businesses and our endeavors. So I go in there, I do little stuff for him, just gives me practice and try different shots, different angles, different edits, different cuts on edits. So, he's letting me use his business as practice, which is great because, sometimes not all, videos and pictures are great, but sometimes,
they're not. This is our second take. The first time I recorded it, I screwed up bad and the whole thing was distorted. I might have been talking too loud, but it's okay. that would have been a good time to give it to you to fix.
I probably wouldn't have been. No, I don't know how bad it was.
Right.
But it's just practice. Like when I'm at the gym working out, once in a while, I'll bring my camera.
Fitness is huge these days.
And I try to get different shots, different angles. I'm going to do a favor for one of my buddies he's got his first ever competition that he's doing.
Exciting.
This Saturday.
Okay, wow.
So after his competition's over, we're going to plan a date and time to meet up. I'm going to do just a little montage video for him.
Yeah.
Just because, it's a great achievement.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
You went a whole year or maybe longer, prepping to get
to that,
getting your diet in check. It's a lot of work to get on stage and compete against other bodybuilders. So, I was like, hey man, I want to do this for you. One, because I had this great vision and I need to get it out.
Yeah.
I want to give you a gift for competing.
Well, and you can do it. And that's like I was just saying earlier, like, our minds tend to trick us into like this overthinking and then talking yourself out of it and like, well, maybe not, like you said, where that day you decided you just went for an LLC.
Right.
You know?
That was, I mean, it was, I woke up, talked it over in my head, and I was like, I want to do this. There was that hesitation, but when I got to the barber shop and I was talking to my buddy, you know, and having somebody from
it's that extra push, you know,
and outside of your regular day, so you don't have somebody sitting there go, well, what about this? What about that?
Right.
You know, I have somebody going, just do it. It sounds like a good idea.
A couple of things. Number one, like you said, you know, at the barber shop, it's amazing that you kind of use that as an opportunity to use that for practice content.
Yeah.
Everybody started somewhere. I don't care if you've been in business 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Everybody started somewhere. You didn't just start in something knowing it all.
Nope.
And I think, and that's one of the hardest things too, like with event planning. Like I've had very, you know, close friends or family, by the way, thank you, anybody who has supported me and put your event in my hands and trusted me with it. But it's just the step of like, those are so important because without that, you can never get started without that.
Right.
So it's very nice to have that family friend or like that first client who has that patience and understanding with you to be like, I know you're starting out, do your thing, you know, whatever it is, even if it's not perfect. That is important. That is a form of support, patience and understanding for that person starting out their business because everybody has started out somewhere. And then and then my second point is like what you just said of, you know, when you present this idea to people, especially family or the friends that are closest to you, unfortunately, it's like this thing of these questions, someone's discouraged you. What do you have this? What do you have that? And it's like, whoa.
Right.
Can I get started? But at the same time too, and I do genuinely think it's a thing that people aren't mindful of it in the sense of, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But also the way you might be asking or saying something could simply be a reflection of what you're too fearful to be, you know, to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't like discourage me from doing it just because you might doubt yourself. Don't doubt me, you know? So like I said, that's very important to have, like you said, that out of everyday person to just be like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And be like, hey, this is like a great idea, you know, before just shooting it down.
Yeah. And I, you know, I went and, it was funny because I left that day, and I think it was the same day or the next day.
Yeah.
I ran to the store and bought a camera.
Yeah.
I was like, because if I don't do it, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
Then I sat down, discussed it over with my dad. He, you know,
wasn't exactly what you hoped for, maybe.
He was supportive.
Yeah.
And I, you know, said I want to make it an LLC, so one, you could write off some of the stuff you buy. That's a perk. It helps cover some taxes. But the other thing too is if I didn't do that step, I wouldn't have taken it seriously, and I would have just had a camera that would have eventually just sat on a desk and collected dust somewhere. Where now it's okay. This is something. You know, I have a client or two. Now I want a couple more. Now I want a couple more. And it's just you want to...
This build up.
It's like, I know it's not going to be, hey...
Overnight, not at all.
Overnight, I'm making millions of dollars or thousands of dollars. It's, you know, all right, I'm pumping a little bit more money into this myself.
An investment.
There's, you know, it's the growing pains. And, you know, I had somebody tell me too, if it was something I've been doing for a full year or 2 years, and I still was stuck where I'm at, then maybe I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. And even
cut my losses. But
depending on your business, people don't start profiting 3 to 5 years later.
Right.
So I'm only about to be at 2 years in May. And I mean, hey, I could say I'm not in the hole with my business, which that's even
that's a great thing to say.
You know,
Right.
So have I made thousands and thousands? No, but I made maybe, you know, a few hundred here and there, probably invested it right back. But that's like you said, is the understanding that it doesn't happen overnight.
And that is another growing pain that you have to realize too, is you may make a profit, but you can't put it in your own personal pocket. You either are reinvesting
keep it separate,
or you're holding it into that account. I have a separate business account from my personal bank account, and there's times where I use that money to reinvest in the business, or it's just sitting there. I won't touch it.
Yeah. You'll be doing business in vain.
Right.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, Mogavero Marketing LLC, you offer marketing, you offer consulting as well.
Yes.
What are some of the marketing services you would be able to describe that are offered?
So, for business owners, I like to give you there's a few different packages. So, one is just strictly I come in, do video and photography, and help you upload it to your social media. So you can either give me permissions to be able to upload on your behalf through your social media.
Okay.
Or I could just forward you the videos and photographs, and what you do with them, you do with them.
Right.
But a lot of people like the idea of somebody taking this, running their social media off their plate.
So
that's
they can like a whole job in itself.
On other things. So for that, I 2-3 times a month.
Okay.
I come in, I'm there for like an hour, 2 hours, and then I try to break it up where I could upload once a week for you.
Okay.
I have the programming, I could create ads for you.
Very nice.
Or flyers. And then the other package is if you already have an existing website and you want it search engine optimization, where you want it to be number one whenever someone Googles.
I might be hitting you up because
we can get you up there, and then that's another package. Plus, it includes the digital portion of it. So that first package. So then you're combining both.
Nice.
And then there's the third one, which is if you don't have a website at all, you're starting completely from scratch. We can get you created with a website, run the SEO, and then I could do the digital marketing stuff. So it's nice because we can take that whole portion of that off your plate, so you can concentrate
focus on what you're trying to build.
Right, because I've talked to business owners and trying to keep up with being on social media and everybody's face on a constant basis. It's a tough thing to do. Like you said, it's a job in itself.
Yeah.
Even for me, I forget to upload stuff on my own personal social media business page, and I'm like, it's like, and again, that's a portfolio. That's a way for people to view what I do. And there's times where I'm like, I should have posted that, and I'm like, and I do it eventually, but it's my stuff. For me, my stuff comes secondhand to my clients.
So that's how you continue investing in yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I'll have you'll see a week of me just pumping out stuff for my own business, and then I go quiet.
But know what's a beautiful thing for that, and I had to learn it myself. I was like, oh, you could schedule posts. Right. Huh? That's nice to know.
That's the other thing too is for clients is obviously I send you my finished work, and if you give me the okay, then I schedule it.
Okay.
And one of the things is, the nice thing is, I'll give a little trade secret out, is like Instagram and Facebook, when you go schedule a video to post, it will tell you when the best time is to post it.
Oh, okay. So, I didn't even know that.
But again, you got to have the content to do it. You got to be regular with it, because otherwise you're not going to see a change.
It's definitely, I would say too, that consistency is everything. Even if you're still figuring it all out, but you have a good idea, the consistency will help you figure out what works and doesn't work.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen overnight. It could be 3 months to 6 months before you see a return on your investment. Yeah. And a lot of times it's not about the follows or likes. It's all of a sudden you see my revenues increasing because I got more people walking through the door.
Well, and that's a big thing. I manage social media because it's the way of the world and I adapt.
Right.
Am I crazy about it? No. I give me the face-to-face interaction. I'll give you my, sales pitch and we can go from there. But even the power with that is not always about the quality, the quantity versus the quality, where you can have those 5 quality clients. Now they tell their family, their coworkers, their businesses.
Yep, word of mouth.
And you'd be surprised what that turns into in itself, aside from that social media aspect as well. So I think like the biggest thing is just balancing it all. You know, it really as you figure it out, it's really research in itself. And I think when I changed my mindset to look at it that way, it wasn't feeling like, oh my God, I'm just doing all this for nothing. Nobody's responding, no inquiries,
you just keep going.
But it's really like research in itself, because you're like, well, when I did that, I didn't get too much feedback. But when I did this, that seemed to work more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's another reason why I will post myself, like do videos of myself in the gym, and then post it on my personal page. Because all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, this video hit 80% of non-followers. So then I look and I'm like, what did I do different with this video than that video? And the other thing too is business to business. If I'm in a restaurant, I research different stuff, like different videos.
Okay.
So I'll go on YouTube, watch shorts. I'll go on Instagram. I'll watch reels of different videographers and what they did, and I nitpick or like break down their videos in my head.
It's research,
and same with if I went into a contractor's job site. I'm gonna do that a lot different than I'm doing somebody cooking a meal.
Right. Yes. No. So, and it's great that I feel like you're really mindful of a lot of important things, and I think that's great. There's like, when I was a design consultant, I feel like when I was training and I would see some people, this and that, I did that. I kind of, okay, how do they do things? I seen what worked, what didn't work. I seen what the client liked that they did and didn't like.
Right.
And I gathered that, and that was such a benefit in itself, because I feel a lot of time companies, like, you have to listen to your client. If you have a client, if they're investing money in you, spending money on you on a service, product, whatever it is, priority should always be listening to your client. Anything outside of that is you as the professional. If you just know something is not going to work, they have this crazy vision, and you're like, I don't recommend that.
Gotta tell them to step back a minute.
You know what I mean? Then that's fine. And some clients can be overbearing, and they're like, listen, you hired me, let me help you. I'll do this for you.
Yeah, I have.
But I think that's a big thing, like you said, understanding your clients out. Okay, how you shoot a cooking, a chef cooking versus somebody in a construction field are going to be two different things.
Yeah.
So that, that diversity is important.
And I mean, the restaurant owner that I work with, he sent me a simple text message the other day. Hey, I need to get some I need to get all my menu items photographed so I can post them on DoorDash.
Okay.
Perfect. That's my project.
That's when I order food, what does it look like? It sounds good, but
and does it look good?
Right.
And instead of him paying DoorDash to send somebody there to do the pictures, well, that's where I could do that as well.
Okay.
But then he also knows part of what I want to do is sit in the kitchen, set up my camera, and do shorts of his cooks cooking some of the meals, and they can then take that, post it on their website.
That helps you.
If they want to start a YouTube channel, it gives them a chance to do that, or
and
whatever.
like you said earlier, like the whole social media thing is like you also have to think about so-and-so Italian, grandfather or uncle who's owned a restaurant for 40, 50 years. This isn't their thing. This isn't their era. They're not, hey, let's go live at 60. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I have a new respect even for marketing, just doing my podcast. And, I edit all my videos and I figuring this out. It is. And I give kudos to people who do it consistently. But it's like, it's almost an underwhelmed thing of how important it is and the difference it can make if you have somebody specifically focusing on that.
Right.
And if you are the business owner, how much it opens up to you being able to focus on other parts of that business.
Right. Absolutely. And, I know some business owners that their staff runs everything. They have management in place that handles everything, or project managers. And they're off doing, bringing, they're out in the field. They're out doing their thing, getting in the face, being the face of the business. What time do they have coming back, posting? Right. You don't. And it's, and it's just, when they, I've had a couple people and I love that idea. And again, it's simple. I can keep in contact, either text message or email, so everything's documented, and we can go back and be like, oh, no, this is what we discussed.
Well, and
It's our best friend. But
yeah, and then also too, like, you might be seeing something through your eyes that they wouldn't have been mindful of.
Correct.
So that's like another help as far as like, well, what if we do this, or you suggest something like that. There, even that isn't a help in itself to be like, oh, okay, because now they're the owner, but now you as an outsider or like a customer can help them be like, well, if I was a customer and I was seeing this,
right,
that's kind of plays into it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say, okay, you've done a lot of different industries. What was it about this one that really made you make it a reality?
For the marketing?
Yes.
So I've worked, like you said, I've worked in a couple different industries. The mindset of this is how I would do it. And it's so when you get to that point where, well, this is how I would do it, and watching other people do it, and you're like, well, you take a little from everywhere, and then all of a sudden you're like,
put it all together.
You're like, I want to bring. To me, it's art. Videoing, being able to edit it, it's art. Am I perfect at it? Am I the greatest?
Who is?
No, but every experience is something new to learn, and I'm the type of person. You said earlier you're a perfectionist. I am the type of person that if a video I don't like it, I start right over.
Yeah,
I will delete everything I did, re-upload the videos. There's times where I've gone back and told somebody I didn't like the way this came out.
Yeah.
I'm coming back and redoing it, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
okay. I'm like, it's no extra charge to you.
But that's how you build respect.
Right, you're paying me a monthly fee. If I don't like it, you're not gonna like it. That's my thing. But I've also grown to know too, if I like it and not everybody likes it, it's not really about everybody else. So, I mean, as long as if the business owner's happy with it, that's great. How am I trying to say this?
Along the way, if you have suggestions,
right,
you don't want to not say them and rob them of being aware of something that could be improved.
Right. So that's why I always send my final draft. Do you like this? Do you want me to change something?
Yeah.
Is it within your vision? And our relationship should get to a point where you just say, hey, we're good. Just post whatever you got. I trust you.
Yeah.
And even then, I might still
verify
with you. Like, hey.
And that's good business.
I did something different.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You send me, hey, I need, I want to post a flyer on social media on our ad, I got a special dish. Perfect. I'm coming in. Make that dish for me. I'll take a picture and I'll create something for it. I'm going to send you the draft. Make sure you approve of it. Because I want to keep your image.
Right. Original.
Right. What you want. I can make anything mine.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that goes back to saying, just make sure you're listening to your client, whether you have a service or a product. And that's why I like that you actually offer marketing and consulting in the sense of, okay, what are you looking for? Right. What are your goals? What do you want out of it? And that just creates that clarification that you're not just doing what you think is good, but it's not working for the client.
Right.
And, the client isn't just telling you minimal and not giving you much to work with. That's the importance of that consultation. So get that information, brainstorm, create a plan like you said, and then, execute it.
Yes, and open lines of communication.
Yeah.
I never want one of my clients to feel like they can't text me or say, hey, I like that. Heard, I like that video, but like I did a video again for my buddy's barbershop. He's like, I loved it. It went a little too quick.
Okay.
And then I explained to him, well, I chopped up the video this way because if I didn't, it's coming out of that 30 to 45 second
range.
And on social media,
you're such a short attention span.
If anything is over 30, I actually think it's 30 to 35 seconds, but I give myself that extra 10 seconds. If it's anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds, odds are it's getting swiped up and it's going to the next thing. And it's like then you're losing that.
Such a short amount of time just to like grasp them so quickly, and that's the way of the world. And like I said, I can adapt when it comes to social media, but I'm not a fan of it because it's rushed. Right. Whereas like, when you're meeting somebody out or at a restaurant or at a bar, hi, I'm so-and-so, you can have a conversation. And if business comes up in that conversation, then it turns into something. I prefer that because everything is already so rush these days.
And that is, just real quick, why I do like a 30-minute complimentary consultation.
Same here.
So I could come to your business or wherever you want to meet. And sit down and discuss things. So then I have an idea and I can tell you, hey, here's my list of packages because I have a nice little thing made up.
Yeah.
Let you read through it real quick, what it's offered, and you get to choose. And
I think that's huge. And like you said, like just to sum it all up, there's such an importance in, number one, knowing the goal of your business, knowing what you're going to offer. So you have that level of confidence when you do have a client. Because I think even as entrepreneurs or business owners, sometimes we forget we know what we know, but the client is coming to us because they don't know that part.
Right.
So it's not that, they're dumb or you got to explain it to them, piece by piece. But it is this understanding and patience you have to have with them that you are the professional. You want to listen to your client. What are your needs? We almost have to work backwards for them because they know what their vision is.
Right.
They need help putting it into perspective and letting us putting it into reality. And I learned the importance of that. And that's where, number one, the trust comes in, the respect comes in for good business, and the peace of mind of, okay, I don't feel like I have to be so hands-in, and now you can work in peace.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then on the client side, I don't blame them and I understand because then you got people, hey, it's $2,000, they hand them the money, and then it's like, this is all you did for me.
Right.
So it's just that consciousness and like balance and just respect for your client because at the end of the day, without your client, you don't have business.
Absolutely.
So, and I think even like when you said when you worked in certain jobs, that was one of the bigger problems with corporate America and me too. Where it's just like, you knew you had good ideas. You knew the other way that you probably could do it and it would be improved. You just weren't heard. And I think for me too, that's kind of what led me to the road of entrepreneur and like, I think I can be my own boss. And it's like you said, like it's kind of just waking up that one day to be like, stop doubting yourself. You most likely can do it because you know what you're capable of and just fight that other side of your brain that's telling you, well, what about this? Because like I said, you know how many business owners have flopped on their face and actually like completely failed and had to start again, but they kept going. So
it was just
everybody messes up.
It was one little hiccup in the road. They kept going. They didn't let it deter them. And the other thing too, I know we're wrapping up here.
No, you're good.
But I mean, I've always felt like working in corporate America. I like working for local business owners. I figured that out. I don't like working for corporate America.
You're Italian. You're too family oriented.
Exactly. It's tough. It's just. So working with, someone that's family oriented, like you said, it's great. And then, but I always felt like I was, it sounds weird when I say it, but destined to do other things.
You were. There's a ceiling put over you. This is what you're hired to do. This is what your job description is. And this is all you do. That's an American nightmare to me. That's not an American dream that you're telling me to go somewhere 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 30 to 40 years just to be secure or comfortable when my knees are dusty and now I can't go to Disneyland because I never took PTO. Like who's waiting to travel at like 65? By 65, your like joints are probably rusty. That's not enjoyable. So like that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, and you're blessed with a day job that's flexible and supportive.
Yeah.
That's living life. That's enjoying it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think that's so underrated these days. I think it's very important. So if you have a goal, if you have a small business that could possibly turn into something long-term and a big business, everything started small at one point.
Absolutely.
Everything started with a vision, a dream, and then you wake up, you make it a reality, you try things, and you figure out what works and what doesn't work while maintaining some kind of consistency to fund that vision, and like you go from there. But I think small business owners, we got something here. So you heard it here on Just Ask. Nick Mogavero with Mogavero Marketing LLC. So any of your networking or consulting needs, feel free to reach out. If you reach out to me for a service and there's something I can't do, I would probably recommend you to him. He knows good business.
Thank you.
And we're passionate about what we do. So tune in, and I hope you subscribe to my channel. I'm sorry, I know I'm whining tired. You can tell that I'm like...
You're good.
When I get tired, I get a little goofy.
I was dirty from work, so I had to change a little bit.
Listen, I'm always professional, but you know, we're fine. Please, nothing. I am a perfectionist, so like I'm tired of being a perfectionist.
It's all right.
You need a break. Just relax. Okay. 30 minutes. All right, we're gonna put that near my thigh just in case it finishes and we're still into it.